You felt that pull, didn't you? That quiet tug that made you click. You told yourself it was curiosity, but something older than you knows the truth. You were called here. Welcome to Static Ritual. Before we begin, if something in your house doesn't sound right while you're watching this, do not pause the video. You need the noise. Subscribe. Turn the notifications on. Not for me, for you. Because I upload every week, and if you're subscribed, at least I'll know you made it back. Now, let's talk about Fisk and Fooster. No escape. Nobody at the facility ever used their first names. Not supervisors, not colleagues, not even the woman at the badge checkpoint who'd worked there 19 years. They were always Fisk and Fooster, capitals somehow audible in the way people said it, like labels rather than names. Fisk counted everything. Steps, tiles, lights, a habit left over from a childhood fever that scrambled his sense of what was real. Numbers grounded him. If the count was consistent, the world was real. Fooster talked to fill silence because silence genuinely confused him. He narrated constantly vending machines, meetings, weather. If he was narrating, he existed. Together, they'd worked Sector 9-G for 11 months. A maintenance corridor, sub-level 4. Walk it, check the seals, log anomalies, walk out. 40 minutes, 3 times a week. Nothing had ever happened in 9G until the Tuesday in November when the map changed. Fooster noticed first because Fooster noticed everything he could turn into a sentence. "The corridor's longer," he said, holding his laminated map and tilting it slightly. "Maps don't change," Fisk said. Very reassuring. "The corridor is still longer." Fisk took the map, looked at it, looked at the corridor. The map showed 340 feet, end-to-end, a number Fisk had memorized week 1. But the corridor stretched forward into yellowish dimness that resolved into more corridor, a distant point that shouldn't have existed underground at all. "Optical illusion," Fisk said. His voice had a splinter in it. They stood at the entrance for a full minute. Then, because this was their job and neither of them turned around without logging a reason, they walked in. 40 feet in. The smell. Not rot, not chemicals. Something papery and intimate, like opening a drawer sealed since before you were born. Wrong in a way that bypassed the nose entirely and landed somewhere further back. Further in, the hazard tape on the floor had stopped running in straight lines. It was spiraling inward in wide loops, slowly, like something had dragged it over a very long period into a pattern that had intention behind it. Fooster pulled out his radio. Static, but beneath it, something rhythmic. Something that sounded, if you let yourself hear it that way, like breathing. They kept walking. At 600 feet already, 260 past where the corridor should have ended, the writing appeared. Right-hand wall. Dark letters, tall enough to read from a distance. Meticulous penmanship, patient and careful. No escape beneath it. A smiley face, 2-dot eyes, curved mouth. Simple. Except the left eye sat lower than the right, and the smile pulled flat on one end. The more Fisk stared at it, the more the expression shifted from happy to something he had no word for. Something that smiled because it knew something you didn't. Further along the wall, smaller. There is nothing here. There is no one here. There is no one. And then, smallest of all, nearly illegible. Do not go past the balloon. The balloon was red. It floated chest-height in the center of the corridor, 740 feet in. No string, no air current they could feel. It simply hovered, rotating slowly the way a compass needle settles after finding north. They stopped 10 feet back. No ventilation in this section, Fisk said. Nothing keeping it up. And yet, Fooster said. And yet. Fisk counted ceiling tiles above them. Got a wrong number. Counted again. Wrong again, differently wrong. A different number each time. In his entire life, Fisk had never gotten a different number twice. Something behind his sternum went very quiet. The tiles aren't counting right, he said. Fooster looked at him. He'd never heard Fisk say anything like that. Then we go back, Fooster said. They turned around. The entrance was gone. Not far away. Not blocked. Gone, replaced by more corridor. Same yellow walls, same spiraling tape, same low hum. And on the wall where the door had been, written in dark letters still slowly dripping, "They always turn around, the corridor knows." They went past the balloon. There was no logic in this. Going past it was what happens when backward has become forward, and forward is the only direction that hasn't betrayed you yet. As Fooster drew level with the balloon, he heard something from inside the red latex, small and wet, like a word being swallowed. A voice. His name. Not his last name. His actual name. The one nobody at the facility used. It sounded like his mother. She died in 2019. He didn't tell Fisk. Past the balloon, the corridor changed gradually, incrementally, the ceiling slightly higher with each 50 feet, the walls slightly wider. Each individual step feeling normal while the accumulation was horrifying. By the time they reached the door, the ceiling was lost in shadow above them, and the corridor was wide enough that standing in the center felt exposed, the way standing in the middle of a field feels exposed. The door was ordinary, plain metal. A number in a placard, 9-G/44. Fisk stared at the number. 44, he said quietly. Steps from the parking lot to the entrance. Every morning. Coincidence, Fooster said, in the voice of someone who didn't believe what they were saying. Fisk opened the door. The room beyond was large, square, and lit by a sick yellow glow that came from nowhere, identifiable, not a fixture, just a quality of the air, light as weather, filled with chairs, hundreds of them, concentric rings, all facing inward, all empty. Except two. In the innermost ring, two figures in yellow suits, hoods up, heads tilted forward, faces hidden, breathing slowly, asleep, or something that resembled sleep. The name on the first suit, Fooster. The name on the second, Fisk. They backed out, pulled the door shut, stood with their backs against it. After a long time, Fooster said, "I have a hypothesis. I don't think we're the first ones in here. I think everyone who enters this corridor eventually reaches that room. What we just saw, that's a version of us that came in before, from a previous loop. We've never been in here before," Fisk said. "We have no memory of being in here before," Fooster said. "Different thing." Silence. "Then somewhere there's a version of us from this loop," Fisk said. "Sitting in chairs. Already." "Yes," Fooster said. "Then we need to find something those other versions didn't find. Something that breaks it." "Great," Fooster said. "A loop-breaking strategy. Let's go." The radio came back at 1,000 feet in not the facility frequency. Something past the end of the dial. Voices, layered, overlapping. Fisk held his breath and separated one strand from the noise. Two voices, one taller, one chattier. He was hearing himself and Fooster speaking from somewhere ahead of them in the corridor. "Can't keep walking forever. There has to be." "I know, but the alternative is the chairs. Obviously, we need to find something that... static, gone." Fooster stared at the radio. "We're ahead of us." "Yes." Are we talking to ourselves right now from back there? Don't follow that thought all the way down, Fisk said. Ground rule. Right. Fooster lowered the radio. They sounded scared. Yes. Are we scared? Fisk attempted to count tiles. Got 4 different answers. Gave up. Yes, he said. You? Absolutely terrified since the tape, Fooster said. Was being professional about it. They kept walking. The second door had no placard, no number. The metal was older, slightly warm to the touch, in a way sub-level metal should never be. Under the door, light, not yellow, not fluorescent white, blue, shifting, like light on the surface of water seen from below. Fooster crouched and looked through the gap. Long silence. What do you see? Fisk asked. Fooster stood slowly. Sky, he said. Blue sky, moving clouds, a field, grass and a hill. A pause, and 2 figures walking away. And up the hill, yellow suits, worn, like they've had them on for a long time. Fisk put his hand on the door. Warm, sunlight warm, the warmth of a real afternoon in a real place. This broke the loop, Fisk said. The other versions found this. What if it's another layer? Fooster said quietly. What if the field is just another corridor without walls, and the figures up there are walking back into the building? They both looked at the 2 small shapes, cresting the hill, disappearing down the other side. From behind them, from beyond the closed corridor door, the sound of a balloon rotating. Fisk opened the door. The air came through like cold water, the specific sensation of outside, real outside, a thing neither of them had consciously missed until it hit them. They stepped into the field, afternoon light, grass, birdsong from somewhere invisible. They stood without speaking for nearly 3 minutes. Then Fisk sat down in the grass. Fooster sat beside him. We could stay here, Fooster said, not go up the hill. Every other version went up the hill, Fisk said, and ended up in chairs. He looked at the slope. We write on the walls before we do anything else. Not a warning, they all wrote warnings. We write the answer. The warm door is real. Go through it. Sit down. Don't go up the hill. Fooster picked a blade of grass, turned it in his fingers. After a moment, why do you count things? I've never asked. 11 months and I never asked. Fisk was quiet. Then, fever, when I was 7. 4 days I couldn't tell what was real. When it broke, I needed to confirm things. If the count was consistent, the world was there. A pause. In there, when the tiles kept coming out wrong, it meant I couldn't trust my own method. I talk for the same reason, Fooster said. If I'm narrating, I'm here. You've been very here this whole time, Fisk said. So have you, Fooster said. Counts or no counts? The balloon sound grew fractionally louder from behind the door. They stood up. The log entry for 9-G that Tuesday reads, Maintenance check completed. Seals nominal. No anomalies. Duration, 40 minutes. Officers Fisk and Fooster report no irregularities. The next morning, a supervisor walked 9G. 12 minutes, end to end, 340 feet, completely ordinary. He noted only a faint, papery smell near the far wall, and a slight warmth in the concrete. On the wall at the far end, in small, careful letters, something dark dried overnight. The warm door is real. Find it, sit down, do not go up the hill. We are still there. We are okay. Fisk and Fooster. The supervisor photographed it, filed it under graffiti, then walked back to the entrance, counted his steps. Got 44. Still there? Good. Fisk and Fooster are still in the field, because places like 9-G don't let things go, they archive. They collect. They learn. Every version that passed through added something to it. And one day, something will arrive that finally finishes the thought. I hope it's them. Subscribe to Static Ritual. I'll be here next day.